Hey there, monkeys. Grab that cup of coffee, kick back, and relax. We'll get started with a SITREP in just a minute. All right. Hey, welcome, folks. Mule Spec Ops Monkey here, coming to you live from the Monkey Lounge in the great state of Texas. It is 1/9/2024. And without further ado, we're going to get into the deets here over on Skyglass. We're going to be talking about the weather, this wild weather that's going on. We've got just record stuff coming across the United States. We've got records going on all around the world. We're going to look at Germany and some of the things happening over there. Probably not a coincidence when we get into the deets on that story. We're going to be looking at Lloyd Austin, SecDef. Yeah, went in the hospital, didn't tell anybody, but I'm going to show you his background, and it's going to make a little more sense to you. And then we're going to talk about the things going on with Russia and Ukraine. I'm telling you, Russia's about to go hot and heavy, and I think we're getting ready to watch things crumble rapidly over there. All right, so let's get into the details here. If you would, hit that like, subscribe, bell for notification. By the way, if you are watching this on YouTube, it is a premiere, and I am in the chat with you today, all right? Everybody else, it's just a regular live show, and you don't forget to stick around afterwards because we do the Q&A, the live Q&A after the fact. So, all right. Now, looking at the board, I'm sitting at just under 100 up. I've already stripped out 55 Tex 2s and 12 T38s from that number. And so it's a little low, but we got a lot of weather going on. We're going to look at that, I said, in just a minute, because that is definitely a factor when it comes to what is up and how much is up, okay? All right. So first, let's take a look at this aspect. This is something very, very strange. These are F-16s over Belgium, all right? You don't see this very often. The fact that we are catching these guys, it's pretty rare. We see them every once in a while. Then there's the Eurofighters as well, added to the mix. Notice they're over England. But between England and Western Europe, that's a lot of fighter activity up. All right, and then we're going to get over to the United States in a minute. We're going to look at the air refuelers. And just notice I've got one Italian that looks to be headed into Iraq, kind of out of the Persian Gulf side of the house, and that is just a 767-200 Pegasus air refueler. I see a couple up over England that would probably be servicing those fighters. And then look at the United States. I got 3 air refuelers up total. Really, really strange. Very low. All right, but that may be because given the weather, they're probably not putting a lot of fighters up right now. All right. Now, let's look at the helos just for a brief minute. The H-47 Chinooks, you can see we got the Eastern Seaboard seems to be kind of the lion's share of the helicopters right now. They won't last long given the weather that's coming in. But we've got some H-60s, some banana copters, H-47s. All right, and then we get into our watch list, and just notice that is an E-3 Sentry. That's an advanced early warning system flying over southern Europe towards Constanta. And then there is, you'll just notice LaSalle Aviation. That's a third-party intelligence gathering aircraft. Brio 68, Brio 66. We've got another one airborne right now, too, that's down over Panama. But again, super, super high-tech. And looking at Belarus, probably because, like I said, the Ruskies are about to go big on Ukraine here soon. And then, of course, border protection, as always, we can see them in California. That's going to be one of your Phoenix Airs, the GBR, GRB call sign. That's DOJ 757 down into Tucson along the border. Makes you wonder what they're up to. All right. And again, that's a drone in Canada. Get a little further off here to the east. C-101, that's going to be blinking. All right. Coming back out of what looks to, I think, Louisiana, I think. I say blinking. That's his aircraft, right? And then there is Jenna. That's going to be one of your FBI birds. That's going to be your probably your director of the DOJ. And a couple of banana copters there. I do see a weatherbird, Noah, all right, up the eastern seaboard. Now, what I don't see, because I didn't go down far enough, that is going to be the LaSalle Aviation over Panama. Remember, Panama has a lot of unrest going on right now. And so just keep your eyes on that, because that could impact a lot of things, really. You think about the amount of illegals that come up through Colombia, in through Panama, headed into, because they come out of the Darien Gap and they head up Central America. They pass through Panama, all right? And so if you got unrest in Panama, that could actually impact them getting here, which, good for us, bad for the current administration, because, you know what their goal is, right? All right, this is going to be your intel flight. Just notice the ones that are over Texas, headed out towards Lubbock, out towards New Mexico, and then notice the one Tucson up to Flagstaff, Key West, right? Florida Keys, and headed up to D.C. Again, intel flights, just like LaSalle Aviation, same stuff. In fact, this is going to be Brio 66 right here. This one is out over the Baltic, kind of a weird triangle. Don't get that. But yeah, that's going to be Brio 66 with the layers. Looking at Belarus, looking very closely at Kaliningrad below, because remember, that's Russia. And then we drop down and notice that long, again, same spot they always see. They're looking closely at Serbia and Kosovo. We'll talk more about that as well as they're looking at Crimea. Right, but that Serbia and Kosovo, there is some serious unrest in the mix, getting ready to kick off here. They've already had a little bit, but we've got eyes on that area because we're very concerned. All right, and then of course Israel, you expect that over Gaza. All right, now we look at the drones. I got one drone, Los Angeles to DC. That's probably a Q4, if I had to guess. And then we get over here to this. All right. Now pay attention. That area becomes very, very important because there are two pinch points going into the Black Sea right here and then right up here at Istanbul. Okay. If you control that area, you control everything flowing in and out of the Black Sea. And that means oil and supplies going into Russia. Now, we got a low level out here in the Mediterranean. Again, these are drones. And this one I find interesting because it's over Malta, but it's not based out of Malta. Why are they looking closely at Malta? Right? And you see them looking very closely at Israel, but notice that little broken trace that kicks off. It comes down into Saudi and then heads down south towards, yes, the Red Sea. Right? We know what's going on down there. You got a lot of stuff happening between the Houthis and everybody else, right? Who is also an Iranian proxy, right? Just like Hezbollah. Okay, now the R-135s. We'll start in the Middle East because I find this interesting, right near the Persian Gulf. You see that little tiny trace, right? They clearly didn't want anybody tracking that flight. And then you get over to the United States and just notice, I think, well, first off, this right here, I think all of this is a training flight. We've seen this several times now. This one is not, and that one is not. And that snake tongue looking thing is looking at the border, right, between Texas and Mexico. This side looking, they could very easily be looking into Canada from there. Sounds crazy, I know, but they got a lot of capability, right? Now, look at the C-17 traffic, right? You got them in and out of Hawaii. Notice the broken traces. You can see where they leave off and they come back in. And then notice the broken ones headed. That's probably headed out to Guam, if I had to guess, from there, right? And then you've got this stuff going on in, Beale, which is east of San Francisco, and then up here near Tacoma, Seattle area. Very active and busy. And then we go a little bit more, you can see, into Lubbock, right? We talk about Lubbock, right? Lubbock is a big area. They're dropping off a lot of illegals. And then notice this stuff up the eastern seaboard, but look at this real thick spaghetti trace down to Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands, right? What are they putting down there coming out of Charleston? That's a lot of aircraft. Right? It's a lot of traces, very thick trace. And then notice all of these spots into the major cities, right? Very scattered. Where do we see that? Maybe right here in the Swift Air side of the house. Look at this. Okay, you can see Tucson, Texas. You talk about Lubbock, right? There's Dallas, there's Lubbock. There's a lot of people going into Lubbock via illegals. I would imagine that Lubbock is starting to look a little different if I were out there, because that's not a big city. It's a college town, and you're probably starting to notice the landscape changing. Then look at this, right? Remember the C-17 flights we just talked about? Same spots. Yeah. What are the odds? Right? Palm Bay. That's kind of strange. And then down into Central America. But telling you, they're bringing them straight here. C-17s. That's criminal. Really is. It's treason. That's what that is. All right. Back over to our main board. Let's go into what is going on. We're going to look first at the weather. And you're going to see this massive amount of slop coming across the United States. This is the one I think is going to be the snowdropper. This you may get some up here in this area this weekend, but this is a low that's pushing through. Look at this turbulence. If you were flying right now and you got to go across this, or you're anywhere in this side, buckle up, because it's going to be a very bumpy ride today. Danger boxes up the East Coast. We know Flashbang was just in South Carolina, but I don't really see anything there, or Dallas. He was there as well yesterday. We'll look at his schedule a little closer. This is the new slop coming in. And the interesting thing, these are danger boxes here, but notice you got another round of it coming. It's going to just roll right into the West Coast. You guys are just getting it back to back to back. And yeah, not good. I don't know what this is. It looks to be a box over Russia. Temporary RA activated. Radius. Yeah, I don't really know what that is. Other than you probably wouldn't want to fly anywhere near that to keep off that side and get shot down. So, all right. That is where we are. Europe looks the same as it always does. A lot of boxes. Let's move on from there and get over here to this side of it. This is NOAA. This becomes important because you will note that we see aircraft currently flying. All right. Notice it's off the East Coast, Eastern Seaboard, up the Northeast. You've got one down here in this side of things that's live, that's in 801 NA. But the interesting thing is, as we see these aircraft active and we get into the flight history part of it, you'll notice that these guys are being wiped. They're taking them off the board. You're not seeing the stuff that is out there, right? And so that one just flew out. Now, I will see that. We're going to go to the NOAA board right now, and you can see that arrival, right? There it is coming into Hawaii. So you got the NOAA guys coming out to Hawaii. Right, there is that. So we got confirmation on some of it. And then notice you got a big transition. That's the one that we just see go into Hawaii, right? In and out of Los Angeles. You got that little spurt of stuff. I don't know what that is, but that's probably this this little, I don't know what you would call that, B-200 aircraft that we looked at. And then notice up the eastern seaboard, all right? Again, NOAA, right? The science guys, all right? Now we get back over here, and that's probably what we're looking at, that little blip there, pretty close to Yuma. Okay, so that's going to be your NOAAs. Again, I'm just pointing out the fact that they seem to wipe their flights, okay? All right, now notice this. This is the weather system we've got coming through. Gives you kind of a timeline across the United States. Just notice below normal temperatures right here, big dip. Okay, heavy duty snow right here. Okay, and then notice this up the seaboard, eastern seaboard, heavy precip. All right, that's towards the end of this week. Now, why has that become important? Well, let's go over here to the weather mod, guys. And just notice the heavy snow part, right? You see that section? The weather mod guys look like they are getting it together. And then notice this flight right up the entire seaboard. Up and down, right? That's weather mod, right? These are cloud seeding guys. Okay, back over here to the mini. And what was it we just looked at? All right, weather mod guys here. All right, weather mod guys out here. So coincidence? Probably not. But I will tell you, this cloud seeding stuff, this is just like small stuff, right? This isn't the big satellite things. This isn't lasers going into clouds. This isn't the stuff like the, HARP and all the other stuff. This is the low-lying little, bottom feeder kind of things. Even though they will jack up some weather and they will create total chaos, you'll get super high winds and all the other stuff. You'll get snow that looks like styrofoam, right? Feels like salt, but looks like styrofoam, just weird pellet kind of stuff. You get all of that strange things going on. But the NOAA side, that's where it gets really, really wacky because, there was someone early on it was one of our presidents, and I can't remember who it was early on, that said, if you control the weather, you control the world. And they have been going gangbusters ever since. But nonetheless, let's get over here to this piece, because this actually ties into the weather. You go, well, how does this, my dude, turn into the weather side? Well, check this out. Farmers revolt, tractor protests bring Germany to a standstill over government's globalist agenda. And you can see the farmers are out in droves. It doesn't just stop there. You get a little further down, you can see them just locking up cities. But then you get down here to the Autobahn, and they do it there as well. You can see right here, all of this going on. I'll turn that down because that was loud in my ear, so I know it was loud on your TV. Look at this. This is Autobahn, right? Completely backed up. So the farmers, same thing here. Look at this. The farmers are actually just showing up with their tractors, parking them on interstates, slowing everything down, and bringing Germany to a standstill. Now, this says January 8th. I have seen this happen previously, but this is a data point for you, because we get over here and you go, oh, man, these farmers, the reason they're doing that is because they're getting squeezed, right, by the German chancellor, who is basically putting, heavy taxes on them and just a whole bunch of different things. But they are the guys that are feeling the brunt of it. Remember, this is where they get their food. They're messing with the wrong folks. But look at this. We talk weather. Lower Saxony battles severe flooding, extensive agricultural damage in Germany. Hey, look, there's one of your tractors flooded. And you go down a little further, record flooding, 6.5 inches of rainfall just in December. Yeah. Now, I will tell you, Germany they are very advanced when it comes to weather modification. I've done some research on countries that are involved in weather mod, and Germany is right up there with China. And, you get back over to this and you talk about China and you talk about the atmospheric rivers that have been coming across, one after another. Start talking about the agricultural floods in Germany, Denmark having tornadoes this past week, all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah, coincidence? Probably not. All right. Now, we talk Swift Air. We're going to look at the flights here. This is the slop coming across the United States right now. You can see a little mix of the pink stuff. That's going to be sleet and rain, frozen precip, snow on this side of it, lots of water, a lot of it. But just notice the interior of the country. And then, of course, we get over here to the Swifts, as I already showed you. Again, interior of the country. It's the last 5 days, and it's about 30 flights roughly, right, into the interior of our country, bringing illegals straight to your front doorstep. It's like farm to market, but it's not vegetables, and it's nothing that's going to help you get better in life, all right? All right, back over here to the Mini. As we move on, this is Flashbang and his schedule today. A whole lot of not too much going on, but we got some interesting data points for you on this we need to look at closely. Looks like around noon, he's headed back to the White House. It looks like he's still showing in South Carolina as he's got a gaggle on board. And he does. He's probably, if you looked up the wiki for gaggle, he's probably his picture and the definition of gaggle, because it just, the stuff that comes out of his mouth, it definitely sounds kind of gaggly, doesn't it? It's just word salad. Doesn't make a lot of sense. But yeah, they're saying he's in South Carolina, and I didn't see any indication of him being on ground in South Carolina. So who knows? All right, let's go on over to here. This, I have told you this. I said this would probably happen. And this is just based on intel that I was hearing, but they're saying that Flashbang is going to drop out of the 2024 presidential race, coming from a top JP Morgan strategist. And of course, he's predicting. I'm predicting that as well. They're saying he's going to do it based on health, and they'll say it'll happen sometime between Super Tuesday and the November election. Yeah, that's a pretty big span, but I think he's going to drop out as well. And the scary thing is, I think they're going to wait until the 11 o'clock hour. They'll try to use it as some way to add confusion to what's going on in the world, if we even have an election. Now, I would also tend to lean the direction that there won't be one, because we'll be at war. There'll be something else happening that will just lock us up. But him dropping out could put a pause on it, because now they don't have a candidate. Of course, they already know who the candidate's going to be. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Newsom and Big Mike coming into play here. All right. So again, I've said this in the past. We'll see if it comes out. But all right. And then this is another little concern, probably one of the reasons why he's being pressured to bail, because he doesn't stand a chance against Trump. And I think they all know it, and they're starting to get very scared. Initial U.S. employment reports overstated by 439,000 jobs. So think about that. This isn't a small lie. This is a very large lie of almost 500,000 jobs that were basically told that they were out there when the reality was they weren't. That means the job market is significantly softer than they are telling us. All right. Now, this Austin piece, under fire for undisclosed hospitalization. Evidently, he went in the hospital and he had a bad something happen and went into ICU at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. Now, this becomes important because what it shows, the fact that Flashbang didn't even know, and nobody else did for that matter, I think what that shows us is who's basically holding that nuclear launch codes, right? I think it's this guy. And I also think this guy right here is a puppet for this guy. And we're going to talk a little bit more. But if you look at Lloyd Austin and you look at his background, you're going to see this guy, right? Flashbang. But then you go down a little further, and who else's name do you see throughout his career? And that is this guy, right? He's here, down here. So he was the 12th commander of the United States Central Command underneath the Kenyon. And then he was also the 33rd Vice Chief of Staff under the Kenyon. And then here, all right, Director of Joint Chiefs, the 40th under this Kenyon. So this guy has been groomed all the way through And I think that may be who your top dog is, honestly, sitting, you know, even though he is not, you know, like I said, I think he's a puppet for flashback or for the Kenyan. And even though we don't see a lot of him, but maybe we need to start watching this guy a little more closely, because clearly this is who is probably our go-to if things go hot, because we know it's not flashbang. All right, moving on. Here it is. If you got this one in the news, this is an interesting thing. Massive explosion rocks downtown Fort Worth. They're saying it was a gas leak. There were like 11 people injured, but you can see here just from the shot, the video off of Fox 4 News local. It's a pretty big explosion. Now, there may be something that comes out later. They're saying, again, it was just a random gas leak, but it seems like there are a lot of gas explosions happening lately. All right. And by the way, what did I just say here a second ago? Terrified for this. Yeah. Don't think for a minute Big Mike ain't going to be jumping into the ring, at least on the short list. And don't think for a minute wouldn't see HRC put her name back in the hat. All right. Okay. Moving on from that, get over here to Reuters. Blinken brings the Arab message to Israel. Keep hope of Palestinian state alive. Remember, that is a two-state solution, and that is not what God wants us to do. And so, again, keep your eyes on this, because things are starting to heat up a lot over there, and you've got a lot of leverage coming from the United States trying to keep Israel in check. All right, here we go. U.S. fighter jets fly over Bosnia in a sign of support to the country. Now, remember, I was just showing you that there were a lot of looks given to Serbia with the intelligence community, and have been for quite some time. Well, that's because there is a lot of stuff going on over there, a lot of turmoil and a lot of concerns. And so this is why you're seeing us fly, some fighter jets. We just went out in force there, all of 2. That's showing them. All right. Okay, this is what we got to keep our eyes on. Russian ballistic missiles render Ukraine air defense ineffective. Well, I'm going to show you the flights are starting to not stack up going into RZE Poland. They are running out of money, running out of supplies to fight the Russians, and I think Russians are licking their chops as they are about to probably put this whole thing to rest. Okay. This is going to be your cyber attack map for today. Give it a second to marinate, because it does take just a minute. It was pretty hot and heavy when I clicked on it earlier, and right now we're not seeing the red streaks. All we're seeing are the attacks. Oh, here they come. Again, numero uno today under the attacks. United States, Germany, Ukraine, and Israel. Israel rolls in at the top 4. All right, Biggs Army Airfield, don't have too much going on. I see this departing, headed to Houston Bush, 767-300. My guess is we got a rotation going in and out of Guantanamo Bay. They typically fly from there to Houston to Guantanamo. This is just a quick stop for them. All right, this is Dover, and notice we've got this one arriving from Ben Gurion. They are picking up their own supplies and bringing them in, because the U.S. is not doing it for them. All right, and then you got this one. It looks like coming out, Atlas Air coming out of Dallas-Fort Worth, arriving there. And then Amerijet out of Miami, 767-300. Now we go back over here. Just notice this becomes a camper flight headed to Ramstein. Atlas Air is headed to Ramstein. This is headed to Chino, California. That is a Joint Star, a B-703, Israeli Air Force. Looks like it's coming into Dover, and then it'll head to California, which is interesting. And then, of course, notice this one coming in. This is the Royal Saudi Air Force rolling in an Airbus. And looks like it's just doing a round robin. All right. Over here to Ramstein, as we just discussed, a couple 747s coming in. You got troops here on the cambers, 3 camber flights, 6-7 777s. This one is coming out of, well, that's Dover. Again, these are arrivals. Okay. So it's a lot going into Ramstein. That's going to be a base commander coming out of Wiesbaden, And then that 777, it looks like this one's returning back to Baltimore. And then this one, I think that is Turkey, if I'm not mistaken. All right. RZE Poland. Nothing. Got nothing on the board. All right. I do see one British flight in there, but that's nothing for them. Western Global, MD-11. Maybe a little bit of artillery. But other than that, I'm not seeing too much going on. All right. This is going to be your camber flights. This one coming out of Crete. One, I don't know where that one's coming out of. Headed to Nellis and then Ramstein. So let me back this up a little bit. Notice that the board doesn't show everything specifically. But, yeah, you can see Europe, Middle East. Oh, down into Africa. Now, this is interesting because we have been looking at Djibouti. Remember, this is Yemen. So us putting forces here tells me that there may be some stuff getting ready to go down here in Yemen. All right. Your Brits coming several flights out of the United States back into the UK. And then this one looks to be coming out of Cyprus, probably headed to the UK. Now, this is interesting because the UK is hiding critical shortage of its military personnel. This is coming from a former official basically saying that the British government is refusing to publicize its current shortage of skilled military personnel to avoid scrutiny. Kind of acting like the United States, aren't they? We don't want to tell people what's really going on. They're misleading the public. But by the numbers, according to a recent report in the Telegraph, the UK MOD, that's Ministry of Defense data, the country's military strength stands at 184,000 as of October 1. That's pretty scary. And the figure was 7,440 lower than last year. Let's see, reported lowest since the Napoleonic Wars of 1815. Yeah, Brits aren't going to be doing any fighting when it comes to World War III. They're going to be too busy worrying about their homeland, I would imagine. All right, Omni's since landed. It looked like we had something in and out of Asia. And then, of course, this is going to be National Cargo. Just notice the train that's running in and out of, where are they headed here? This looks to be Anchorage to Osan. So that's Osan Air Base, one going to Seymour Johnson to Nellis. London, England, 747 to Destination Unknown, and then JFK to Osan Air Base. All right. Yeah, there you go. So more than likely, these are the guys picking up artillery from South Korea. And got a couple NATO flights up. Look to be, let me just back that up a little bit. One coming out of RZE, and then the other headed here. Now, we talked a little bit about that German and the tractor stuff. I failed to mention the reason that the farmers are being taxed and everything is going nutso is because Germany is trying to keep Ukraine from imploding, and that's because they know that if Ukraine implodes, that they're probably on the short list for speaking Russian, all right? And so they are probably in a panic, and they're trying to do all they can to keep pumping stuff into Ukraine to stave this whole thing off, hoping that Russia just goes away. All right, sorry about that. I meant to mention it when I was on the story. And then here's Western Global. You can see Alaska into Osan as well. And they are, again, picking up artillery, right? All right, well, listen, folks, that's going to do it for our SITREP today. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and we will see you on Thursday for our next SITREP. That's it. You guys keep that powder dry. Stay frosty. We'll talk soon. God bless. Monkey out. Thanks for watching, folks. You can check out the latest gear and products by selecting the QR code on your screen now or go to monkeyworksus.com.